ॐ क्लीं कैवल्य October 9, 2019, we consecrated the Kaivalya Lingam at the Kedarnath shrine as we sat in the inner sanctum sanctorum for over an hour from 3 a.m. that morning.
Jai Bholenath. So, October 9th, Ekadasi, is a very memorable day for me because, of course, now the sun is out, but otherwise, early this morning, I got the Kaivalya Lingam consecrated. Holy pressings of this temple. We spent about an hour sitting at the altar, chanting Rudram, chanting Rudra Gayatri, all the favorite mantras, consecrating the lingam, praying for direction and guidance so the Kaivalya Yoga Gurukula can once again reinstate spirituality in everyone's lives and allow people's lives to be guided by that spiritual energy of the divine that's within each one of us. So it was such an amazing experience. Words fail me as always in all these temples. The kind of energy that emanates from it's just a piece of rock. I mean, it's if you look at it, you'll be wondering what's going on. But once you actually go in there and you sit in His presence and you begin to touch the rock and you feel the energy, I don't know. It's magical. It's out of the world. I think it's one of the best experiences I've ever had in a very, very, very long time. So I'm so grateful that I got blessed. You can see my forehead is full of chandan and kumkum. All the blessings these Babajis and saints have profusely given me. And I share them all with you at this very moment. And I'm standing today with my heart filled with light and clear guidance that Kaivalya Yoga Gurukula is the way forward, is my mission, Maya's mission. Together we will work in helping each other, serving people so that we can all realize the essence, the importance of spirituality in our daily lives and to make spiritual goals as one of our primary goals. Right? Because in realizing our divine self, we truly begin to feel empowered. And with that realization, we step out and become a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, a team player, a businessman, a king, if you will, or president. With that realization that you are divine, that selflessness, that expansive consciousness, that all-inclusive love, if you step out into the world, I think you will be the best in everything that you can do. So it is with that prayer that I'm going to spend the day today. I've got one more day. I'm going to trek into those mountains that you see tomorrow. Right now it's in the clouds. So somewhere out there, it's a 16-kilometer trek both ways going up and down. There is a beautiful mystical lake, another lake like Satopant Lake. This is the Vasuki Lake, where I believe there is the Vishnu energy. Vishnu himself did penance here. So we'll see what magic that place holds. If the weather permits, if everything is good, we should be able to go very early in the morning and come by evening. So the excitement is still there at Kedarnath. It never gets old. Every day there is a new energy, a new radiance, a new bliss that Shiva brings and blesses us with. Jai Bholenath, Jai Kedarnath. So it's about 10:15 and what we are planning to do is trek to what is called the Chora Bori. Oh gosh, I hope I get the name right. Anyway, that's a glacier which had the lake called Gandhi Sarovar where Mahatma Gandhi's ashes were immersed. That was way behind the Kedarnath temple. So that's where we are going. And right now, as you can see, a lot of things, work is going on here. but we are going to be trekking. Go up here and then trek all the way. You'll get an idea. It's nice to get a view from the other side of the valley. There in front is the Divine Temple, and a lot of construction that's going on behind to renovate after that water came from either side of those hills and destroyed the whole village in 2013. Thousands of years ago, this whole place was secretly nestled in the Himalayas, open only to yogis and warriors who brave the nature, Mother Nature, and come all the way up. But now it's open to pilgrims. You have helicopters coming in every few minutes, mules, ponies, porters, hundreds and thousands of people visiting it every day. In the last 5 years alone, more than 10 million people have visited this temple. So averages to 2 million a year. And mind you, the temple is open only 6 months in a year. There is that temple standing majestically. Look at the 2,500-year-old architecture and look at 5-year-old modern architecture. What a mess. What a mess. I wish there was a little more planning here. A little more. Especially we had a chance to rebuild everything. Nevertheless. But there seems to be a little better, more spaced out. We have been slowly walking past and we're now a little behind the hill. Behind the, temple. See the entire valley extending out ahead. Now, talking of those two fancy caves, there's one up here and there is another one up there. So these you have to reserve in advance and pay for it. Something like $50 overnight or something, or maybe more. And you could spend a night there. They have those porta potty kind of toilets outside. Like I said, I haven't been there, so I can't video more than this. I'll have to book a night to go there. I'm not too keen on doing that. This monitor, you have telephone facility there in case you need a quick help or you need to get a cup of tea or something like that, I believe. I'm not sure, again, all hearsay. But in one of these caves is where Prime Minister Modi spent a day and a half meditating between the two elections. I am so fascinated by this little tiny hamlet, Kedarnath. It's drawing thousands of people, 2 million people every 6 months. And the other 6 months it's closed because of extreme winter. The whole place is snowed in. So everyone vacates. Temple is closed as well. And the Shiva with the god is transported down in a procession, again established as a tradition many thousands of years ago. So this tradition is to carry the energy, the main deity, all the way down to Ukimat, where I had spent a night in the Omkareshwar temple, which we had seen earlier. And then in May they bring him back up again, April or May. So from May till November is when it is open, roughly. As you can see now, they are building these mesh walls to prevent rocks from coming in, and a big wall to prevent water, to divert the water if there is any such disaster again. Because that's what happened, a tsunami-like thing happened there. The whole cloud burst happened there and the lake burst and the waters, I don't know how many billions of gallons of water came flooding in a day. Overnight, this whole village was vanquished, except the temple. That's the beauty of that architecture. Look at the magic of that architecture. This trek to this Chora Bora is pretty straightforward, except this kind of a little tricky spot. This might be more tricky if this was flowing. I'm sure in the spring it perhaps is not a very safe place to come because you're going to have landslides. Look at these rocks just waiting to tumble down. So this is one of the rivers that meets Mandakini. They call this a river. I mean, technically it's a waterfall, but then this is one out of the 5 that merge into the main Mandakini river, forms the Mandakini, if you will. The waters which are used to adorn Shiva, bathe him, bathe the lingam, which is what we used and which is what I will be using tomorrow, day after tomorrow at Pradosham. I will be doing the final worship of the Shivalingam, Kaivalya Lingam. This is the other main Mandakini coming in. So you have one from here coming down, you have 2 here, and then you have the 3rd one coming from that side, you have the 4th one coming from front, and then you have a 5th one. We just crossed it, I didn't cover it. So there's a 5th, they all merge into it. That's why they call this the 5 Ganges meet around Shiva. Again, it is Nama, Shivaya, the 5 rivers, if you will. Everything about Shiva is number 5. The Rudraksha that you wear on the neck, generally you get the one I'm wearing here. Oops, where is this? This one here. So this one is of course 11. This is rare, but you get a 5. You see, you also get a 5-faced Rudraksha. So that is essentially Shiva energy. Then you get the 6-faced Rudraksha. Someday we'll get hold of these and I'll explain to you more in detail. 6 faces for the 6 faces of his son Kartikeya. 4 is Ganesha. 9 is Durga, his wife, and so on. It goes like that. So now we are kind of heading more closer. You can see the temple is even more behind us as we are heading out. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. And this energy in this place is so beautiful, so calming, so refreshing. It's scary sometimes when you think of all these natural disasters that just happened 5-6 years ago. A deep fear, if you will, that lurks at the power of nature. And yet, when you look at that temple standing stoically, your heart fills with hope. And no matter what storm hits you, if you're grounded in divinity, you can withstand any flood, any storm, any rain. You'll be given the energy to bear it all. That's why to me spirituality becomes such an important anchor to live your life fully. People think, oh no, spirituality is for old people. Oh no, we want to enjoy life. And I tell them, you're not even enjoying life. You think you are enjoying life. You're fooling yourself. You're deluding yourself. You're living what the advertisements want you to do. You're tasting what they say is good, and you think you're tasting good food. You're dressing the way they tell you to dress, the advertisements, and then you think you're dressing well. They tell you to put a kind of makeup on your face and you think you look good. But where is true beauty? Where is true health? I believe it's in the discovery of the spirit that you can discover everlasting health, everlasting youthfulness, everlasting energy, everlasting beauty. And if I can, even in one small segment, be an example to prove that point to you, I consider myself blessed. Because that is what I experience. You tap into a source that is never ending in its capacity to give. Never ending. Because it's infinite. Jai Bholenath. Look at the path, it just keeps going, hugging the hill. Always not knowing what lies around that corner. We've been there, done this before in the other yatras. Yatra, by the way, means pilgrimage. The Sanskrit word is yatra, and usually yatra is understood as being on foot, but to make it more specific they say pada yatra. Pada yatra. Pada is foot. Pada yatra. Right now it's end of summer, beginning of winter, so it's just a little stream, but I'm sure in the spring there'll be a lot more water gushing down this valley. My two nephews are catching up. They're having a great time as well. Oh my god, look at that. We turned round the corner. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Oh wow. Beautiful waterfall. I need to watch my step. I don't want to keep watching up there and fall off the cliff, because you don't want to fall down this cliff. Alright. Give me a second and I'll go closer. Get that. Again, the path is a little tricky. You gotta watch your steps. So sorry if I'm pointing the camera all over the place. I have to learn to use this fantastic camera at the same time. Also learn to control my excitement when I come to these places. Oh, this is beautiful. I know we have seen so many waterfalls up till now. This energy here is oh beautiful. Look at this. Okay, to give you a perspective, in the valley, just us. That's it. There is nobody except my two nephews, and this is it. A little corner, if you will, hidden. So you can't see the temple from here. See, the temple is behind this hill. So you're suddenly blocked out of everything. Just you and Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya! In all these Panch Kedars, you will notice garlands for the deity Shiva and for other gods are made out of these flowers. These white flowers that grow in plenty. So we saw this in Kalpeshwar, Rudranath, but due to the weather conditions, I was not able to really share much information on the flora. I believe the beauty of this is you can cut it, and even if it dries, it doesn't kind of like fall apart. It's very rock steady. It doesn't fall apart. So the garland stays intact throughout the winter. And so when they open up in spring, 6 months later, the garlands are intact around the deities, and almost as if they are very fresh. There's no sign of fading. Again, these are the mysteries of nature, but they're also magical. How can you have flowers that don't fade, don't fall apart, petals don't fall apart? So we walk this narrow path, again hugging this hill. Temple is way out there. This is Mandakini. This is where the dam broke. The whole thing came flooding down, cutting the whole hill. So we kind of reached the edge, but it looks like there is path going back, probably takes us above, so we're going to follow that, explore it in a bit. For any of you who did nature walking, meditation walking they call it, a mindful walking that they call it, this is exactly that. I know I have a camera on one hand, but that's not a distraction for me. This place, it keeps you so mindful. You're pausing to stare at these flowers, these plants, checking out the glittering silica on the stones, as I found that glitter on the stone was nothing magical. Well, it is magical still, but they have a name for it called silica, and so my bright nephews enlightened me on that. Anyway, so this is it. This is bathing in Shiva consciousness. So if somebody asks me, so what is that? What do you mean by you were enveloped in Shiva consciousness? You were enveloped in ecstasy. This, if you love nature, this is it. This is it. But there is something more than just nature loving, right? Because US has such fantastic, most beautiful parks I've ever seen. Most beautiful mountains, waterfalls. There's an amazing, beautiful river right in my backyard at the edge of my property. That is beautiful too. There is something magical about this. There is a soul here that I have yet to find elsewhere. And that's what makes these kind of treks a spiritual trek, a very deeply introspective trek. So it makes you think, wow, there is no road ahead. How do I go? Where do I go? But just keep walking, and then suddenly a path opens up. It gives you a sense of courage and hope, saying, wow. So maybe even in life, sometimes if you feel you just are hitting a roadblock, maybe it's in your mind. The roadblock is not really out there, it's within. Keep following that path, and you follow the next path that opens up. Something will always open up. I don't believe all the doors close in life, ever. So, alright, signing off for now. I'm going to, the path does zigzag its way up the hill. Less talk, more meditation. Some more beautiful flowers, yellow ones. Again, this path seems to be going nowhere. So let's see. Let's see if the theory works, that there will always be something at the end of the path. I believe the universe never pushes you over the cliff. It takes you to the edge, tests your grit, determination, and then lo and behold, look at that. A tiny path opens, hugging that. So, let's take those steps. Never failing to stop and admire the beauty around. So instead of trekking all the way up, we just changed our mind because we got to save our energy for tomorrow's long trek. I guess from there you get to see the glacier as well. That is the Chorabari glacier. We changed our mind. We are not going all the way up there because it's noon already and cloud seems to be coming down. In any case, we don't want to rush down. We'll sit by the waterfall and spend some more time. So, but basically, there must have been some kind of a natural wall that broke, and that's why that's a crater kind of place there. That's what broke, and the whole thing became a burst.
The big stone is the remnant of the wall.
Yeah, a brick stone there, the huge rock. It's probably a leftover of the wall, I guess. See, the entire mountain kind of split open for this to happen. Amazing. And now there's a very gentle, timid flow of Mandakini. Alright, so we are heading back. We're going to pick up some flowers for the puja the day after tomorrow. And then sit by the waterfall, spend some quiet time there. Because that waterfall was amazing. And then head back to the divine village, Kedarnath. What we are doing, we are picking flowers for the Pradosha Puja. Pradosha is 13th night of the lunar phase, and at that point time is confused. In other words, you can rectify karmic implications, delve deep into your unconscious, subconscious, cleanse it and all of that stuff. So that is the time we have chosen in KYG to do the Shivlinga. We do the Abhishekam traditionally. We've set up a tradition now. And so this is the first time I'm going to do it in Kedarnath. And so I'm picking flowers from Shiva's own garden. And my nephews are going to help me do that. And the three of us are going to do this puja. What a great good fortune. I think it is. And so that's what we're doing right now. Picking flowers, finding our way back.
शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् शिवोऽहं
Please consider subscribing to our channel on YouTube, the KYG channel, so you stay tuned to fresh yoga and spiritual content from KYG. Thank you for watching. Enrich your practice, empower your mind, enlighten your spirit. Namaste.
क्लीं कैवल्य